creating a Turnitin assignment. Make sure you turn your editing on. And you will scroll down to the area where you want the assignment to appear. You'll click Add an Activity or Resource. You'll scroll in the list of available options and locate the Turnitin assignment and click Add. Give your assignment a name. I usually use, action verbs like submit, and maybe a summary of the assignment. And then what type of submission. So down here, submission type, any submission type, meaning they can either upload a file or type in their submission. If you want to limit their file size, you could do that. Indicate whether they can turn it in late or not, if you have a grace period. And any other properties you might want to assign. Indicate the grade, what point value it's worth. So this assignment's worth 10 points. And then any other module settings you might have. So then I'll do save and display. So that's just creating the initial part of the assignment. You still have to set the properties as far as due date and make that connection with Turnitin directly. So once this displays, you'll see here's your indication as to what the assignment is for. If you have tutors, people who will grade for you, here's where you can add them in. Up here at the top is the summary. The students will use the Submit Paper tab on their login to actually upload the paper. And then you'll use the submission inbox as your way to go and see who's turned in the assignment and then link out to be able to grade it. Down here is the assignment part. In this little tool here, the edit tool, notice it has a start date and a due date for it. But if you need to edit those properties based on what your specifics are for the assignment, you'll want to click on the edit button, and then you'll go in and identify when the assignment starts, when it's due, and the post date. The difference between the due date and the post date is the due date is when the students have to have it turned in by. Post date will be the first time that you'll be going in and looking at the assignments, and usually the post date has to be after the due date. So you want to make sure that you set that right, because sometimes if you set the post date before the due date, it will cause issues with it. So make sure those settings are applicable. And then once we do that, here's where the synchronizing data comes in, and this is where it's actually linking it up, creating the connection between Moodle and the Turnitin site, and now the students have all been linked up to that assignment there. So when they click the Submit Paper link as a student, they'll be able to choose how they want to upload their item, whether copy and paste or do a file upload. And then they have to give it a title. They can browse to where the file is located, and they'll click Add Submission. So they don't even have to go in to turn it in for the submission part. I'm going to take you really quick here to one of my other courses where students have turned stuff in. The current one. And you'll see they had an orientation assignment for learning how to use the Turnitin. So I'll link them into the Submit Orientation Exercise 3. And as a faculty, now that I've had students submit, you'll see that there are some options down here as far as how I can export or look at the papers, so I could actually export all of the submissions into a zip file and grade them offline if I wanted to. But if I want to go to the submission inbox, it'll show me what students have turned in the assignment, and note I never had to actually click enroll all students. As soon as I synchronized the data, they were able to get in and access the Turnitin. So these are all their submissions. When I'm ready to grade them, I just click on the pencil and it takes me out to the Turnitin site. That message was saying I had allowed them to resubmit until the due date, so it's just saying if you grade and they can still resubmit, you might be grading the wrong paper or wrong version. So here's where it's loading up Turnitin, and I can actually see the paper here. I can click the comment button and make some comments on the paper if I wanted to have some comments in it. And in the upper right hand corners where I would assign the points, normally it would have a dash in it, and then I just type in 5, and then I can scroll to the next paper, which you can't quite see, it's up here a little bit. So up here, this is paper 28 out of 28, so I can scroll through the different papers. It'll load the image. Again, for each one I can comment on them and assign the points. And then I just keep scrolling through until I have all of the assignments done. This is actually a toggle or a drop-down list, so I could go and click on the first student in the list if I wanted to see their paper. And everything that I'm doing will be saved, so if I had a comment and I placed it on here, the student, when they come back in, so now I'm just going to close this window. It's outside of my Moodle. It'll update the points into the Moodle gradebook. And if I were to switch over as, change my role here to a student, oops. They would just come back to their submission inbox, and they would see it, and they can just click on the grade to link them out to their paper, and then be able to see the comments or whatever you posted in there for them. So it's synchronizing constantly with Turnitin and Moodle, and for the most part, unless the students want to go see any comments you made on there, they don't even go into Turnitin. They just simply stay in Moodle to submit the paper and then come back and see their points. But you can hit refresh submissions if you've made any changes. But realistically, I haven't needed to use the enroll all students. All students, once I created the assignment, were able to get in and access the assignments.